Yo, what's going on everyone? Brian and Jim here with DrinkABeerandPlayAGame, and today we're checking out Road Rash 3 for the Sega Genesis.
Released in 1995, this was once again developed and published by Electronic Arts, and once again it is a Sega Genesis exclusive. This is the last in the original trilogy, so you hope that they would put some improvements in here. Did they actually do it? Well, one way to find out. Let's get into it.
Well shit, the graphics in this game took a turn for the worst. Get it, Jim? It's a turn!
Shut the fuck up and get going!
I make jokes. Anyway, they attempted this pre-rendered look, which a lot of games at the time tried to dabble in, and to us, it's unsuccessful. For one thing, why are you wearing this goofy-ass silver aluminum suit that the guy really doesn't have a lot of detail to him? It just looks shitty. We always kind of preferred the more, I don't really want to say cartoony, but video game style of the first two Road Rashes, and this one tries to blend the two, and it just doesn't work for us. We will say there are a hell of a lot more obstacles and random shit in the road, but it didn't drive the score up for us. And holy balls, with all those obstacles added in, when you're doing split screen, the choppiness is just unbearable. You might feel like you already have beer goggles with how annoying it can get. So, as you see from our scores, we had to reduce it down to a 5. This late in the Genesis life cycle, this game just really is not that acceptable. And as far as beers, oh fuck, I'm going to start us off with 3, because you're going to need them to deal with these graphics.
The sound. Well, I guess I'll start with the sound effects because for the most part, they're all the same. There's a few more weapons in the game, so they have unique sounds to them, and there's more obstacles in the road that you can hit, like cows, and doggies, and chickens, and moo cows. Ow! What?
They're not moo cows, they're just cows!
Moo cows. Anyway, the real change comes from the music, and it's a pretty stark departure from what you've had before. Gone's the real percussion, bass-heavy kind of metal, hard rock for more... It's more upbeat, I guess I'll say. There's a lot more clean overtones in it, and a lot of the different levels, possibly all of them, because I guess I'm not cultured enough, but they'll have songs from the countries themselves. Italy will have that, you know, pizza, pasta, gabagool, pasta, bazzol, rigatoni, that song.
Scatty!
Stereotypes. And, you know, Great Britain will have the British Bulldogs theme song, shit like that. We do like the way the music turned out. It's different, but it works. So, Brad gave it an 8, and I gave it a 7. And as far as beers go, I'll just give it 1, for Davey Boy Smith. Ha!
For the most part, the control in this game stayed exactly the same. Only because there's addition of new weapons, which I'll let Jim get into, would I say there's a difference in the feel of the game. And the only other thing we really noticed is with some of these faster bikes, man, if you're turning too hard, this game is unforgiving when it comes to falling off your bike. I mean, I already mentioned there's a shit ton more obstacles, so you're going to be taking a lot more sharper turns. Just expect to come off your bike a hell of a lot more. So really, we couldn't change the scores. Everything else is exactly the same, so we left it at an 8. As far as beer, I'm gonna give it 1, for all those boo-boos you're gonna get when you fall off your bike.
Boo-boos?
Yeah, ouchies.
But, damn it, I was gonna say ouch, you just ruined my bit!
Shut up, cuck!
But, cuck! You're the cuck!
That's what a cuck would say, cuck!
Cuck-a-doodle-doo! God damn, I didn't know when this website turned into 4chan.
Damn it!
Ow! Worth it. The gameplay. It's Road Rash. You're roading around, you're rashing about, you know, motorcycle shit. So, the improvements. There are more weapons. You get things like the oil slick, which you can drop behind you, but you actually have a limited inventory of that weapon. And you have other ones like the mace, and of course the best one, the cattle prod, because it stops you in your place, like a piece of shit you are, Brian.
Hey, Jim.
What?
Zap.
In-game itself, Brian already touched on how a little bit more realistic it is with the turning, so you can't just fly left and right all over the place. You will fall off. There's a lot more obstacles, as we've already said, but the game still plays the same. You go through the circuits, you unlock higher levels of circuits, you get money. Another improvement, besides buying new bikes, is you can buy improvements for the bikes. So you can make them more durable, you can make them faster, that kind of shit. Multiplayer stays mostly the same though. In mono mode you do get more options. You can choose the weapon you start with, you can choose the different level that you want to play it on, so you can have longer races, and that'll give you different level options, like instead of having Japan, you'll have Australia, or you'll have Kenya, blah 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 blah. But overall, it's more of the same that you've had before, so we both gave it 8s. As far as beer goes, I'll add 2 beers. One for the bike enhancements and one for the new weapons.
Well, the originality, surprise, surprise, we said this about the first 2 games, but this game is really unoriginal. Like Jim mentioned, you do have the additional parts you can buy for bikes, but there's other motorcycle games where you can buy parts for your bikes, and there's the additional weapons. So we could only float it a couple points, but in reality, we kept it just like Road Rash 2. I ended up giving it a 2, Jim gave it a 3, and as far as beers, I'm gonna add another 2 beers, because quite honestly, you're this late in the Sega Genesis life, you couldn't have thought of something else to add in here to make it a little more unique. That's just disappointing. And number 2, I don't really have one, so just drink the beer.
Replayability. For basically all the reasons we said, it's the same as what you have before, but you have more options. So we bumped their scores up 1 from last time, so Brad gave it a 7, and I gave it an 8. There's slightly more ways to customize the way you want to play. When it comes to beers, fuck! Oops! When it comes to beers, I'll just add 1 beer for that sweet burp I just had.
Damn it! And now you know why we call him Blub Blub. Overall, oddly enough, even with the additions they put in here, I think Jim and I still prefer Road Rash 2, although we will admit, the soundtrack in this game, there's some good toe tappers here, so we enjoyed that. But at its core, it's still just like the other Road Rash games, with a few more options at your feet. So, we had to keep our scores at a 7.
Why do you have options at your feet?
Because
that's not a phrase.
You don't want them
That's not how language works.
in front of your face.
Just finish up.
So anyway, we kept them at a 7. It's still a solid game, and if it wasn't for the soundtrack and these additional options, it would have been lower than Road Rash 2. So when we combined all of our scores together, it rounds out to a 7.2. There's no doubt that if you're looking for the biggest bang for your buck, you may want to pick this one up instead of Road Rash 2. But once again, Jim and I's personal opinion, 2's just a little bit better. When it comes to the beer pairing, we once again wanted to choose a beer from one of the locations in the game, so we went with the Thornbridge Brewery's Kill Your Darlings. Now this is coming out of the UK, and based on the name alone, that just seems fitting for a game where you just beat the shit out of these other motorcyclists as you're trying to race to the end. It seems to have gotten a really high rating on some of the sites. I've personally never tried it, but I know for a game like this, a Vienna Lager is perfect. So, if you're lucky enough to get a hold of one of these, try it out. Let us know what you think. And as always, remember to drink your beers and play your games responsibly. As always, guys, thanks for checking out this video, and if you enjoyed it, make sure you give us a thumbs up, leave some comments, or better yet, why not subscribe? Till next time, guys, cheers.